Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Garbo Hearn with Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing and Hearn Fine Art, where our focus is Black culture through literature and the fine arts. So today we are doing our last Wisdom Wednesday in February. We've been going since September with a lot of amazing opportunities and interests and information because that's what Wisdom Wednesday is about. It's about people who are retired or people who are ready to retire. And so there's so many things that we need to know. And today we're going to learn about downsizing, perhaps selling our home with none other than Becky Finney with Keller Williams Realty because she is a mastermind in selling homes. She sold homes and placed people in homes in my family, and many of you in the audience, we know who Becky Finney is. And she's in this year, this week, this month. AMP is a trailblazer, which I'll be
Yeah.
bringing that by to get her autograph. With no further ado, Becky Finney.
Well, thanks, Garbo. I am Becky Finney with Keller Williams Realty, and I have been in this business for 40, I think it's actually 45 years that I've been licensed, actively practicing for 43. So typically when I'm in the room, I'm talking about sales. Today, this is not about sales. It's not a presentation, sales presentation. Instead, we're going to just talk all things real estate. So this is geared toward all of us seniors as we make changes in life and we look forward to moving in another direction. Sometimes we haven't even thought about it, but hopefully today we'll talk about some things that'll make you just give you some framework for thinking about where we will be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So thank you so much, Garbo, for the opportunity. And I want to introduce my sidekick here. This is Vince Miller with Regions Mortgage, and Vince has been in the business forever. He and I have worked together probably 30 plus years. And I wanted to bring him in because one of the things that we know we need to do, I'm going to put a disclaimer out that I am not an attorney, even though some of the things will sound like a little bit legal, but I am not an attorney, I am not a CPA, I am not a financial advisor, and I am not a mortgage guru. So I am real estate, but Vince is going to talk to us about reverse mortgages and some financing if people, decide after retirement that they might want to make a purchase, ways to do that kind of thing. So, thank you again for being here. And I want this to be really interactive. I want everybody to ask questions. Hey, Lionel. So, the objective today is really to get you to just think about, like I said, what the next 5, 10, or 15 years could look like. So most people say, well, I'm not going to be selling my home. I am comfortable, almost have it paid off, or it's paid off, and I'm not intending to make any changes. But we all know life just brings about changes. So it's always good to have a plan, whether you ever implement it or use it or not. It's good to have that plan. And some of the common areas that I see, the 4 most common areas that I see with seniors that make changes. One, they're changing for amenities. That's a good place to be. That means you're not being forced to change. You're not being pushed to change. You're only changing your home or moving into another home because you want to move up, or you want to move down, or you want new amenities, you want different surroundings. And so that's a good place to be. You may want less yard space, or you may want more because now you have more grandchildren or great-grands. But these folks are in a great position because they don't have to make a move. They choose to make that move. The next category of people I see, I call them the planners. So they are looking at, they're 55 plus, usually 60 plus, and so looking at the years ahead of them and saying, okay, I might be in a 2-level home with upstairs bedroom, primary bedroom, and so I kind of think that I might need to make some changes while I still have control over everything. And healthcare considerations and that kind of thing, but nothing is really wrong. That's, again, a good place to be. Then the third group of people that I see a lot are people that have to make a change, okay? They are having to make that change because of health considerations, because of financial issues. You know, we become really vulnerable in our senior years when income changes and other types of things happen. So these people may need a smaller place to live, less yard space. They may need some assistance, so they may be considering independent living. And then that fourth group of people are the people who must move, okay? They have had, typically it's going to be because of health challenges. So I've had people that may have experienced stroke or a heart attack or something else that will not allow them to go back home. They're going to have to move in with family or children, or they are going to have assisted living, but they own a home, and so something has to be done with that. So those are kind of the four categories that I see more than anything when it comes to seniors that are selling. Most people think real estate, they think buying and selling is just a happy time and we're going to run off and, you know, find out our new place and start our new life, but it's not always that way. And I see a lot of different situations. Death, of course, is the final stage there. If you have not made any preparations or plans, somebody has got to dispose of that property. And so that's something that you would want to think about as well. So just curious, how many of you have actually thought through those things and kind of have a plan? Anybody here? T.I. Bryant?
Yeah, no plan.
Yeah.
Thought, but no plan.
Yeah, that's it.
Thought through.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the hard part, and I have to say, you know, my husband and I are having conversations too about that, because we keep thinking about it, or I may tell him about a situation I've run into, and I'm like, oh my goodness, we got to make preparations, you know, because we don't know if this could happen to us. But then you kind of move on. You don't do it right then, you move on, and you never get it done. But you need to think through it, and you need to have a plan. So plans change. Again, you may never, ever use it, but you need to have it. One of the things that's really important to homeowners, of course, is the equity. Your home is usually your largest asset. And so the equity in the home is important, and it's important to protect that. And that can be done in a lot of ways, but it's also an asset because it can be utilized when you need it. Sometimes in retirement, people don't have enough from their Social Security or their retirement plans to make it. And so then they're going to need to perhaps pull down some equity in the house. And I have Vince Miller here so he can talk with us a little bit about reverse mortgages, because that's one of the things that a lot of seniors get into. And I always had negative opinions on reverse mortgages, but I've learned that I should not. They can be risky for many people, but they can also be very helpful. And so everybody's situation is different. So I'm going to let Vince talk to us a little bit about reverse mortgages and how they work. And that's just something else for you to think about and have in your arsenal of thoughts in case you ever need it.
Okay, yes, I don't actually personally do reverse mortgages, but I have referred people out to do them over the years, and they are risky, but they can be helpful as well. You know, just like anything else that you may engage yourself in, you want to be knowledgeable of them. And so the biggest thing is, of course, you got to be at least 62 years of age. And many of us know people that have retired and, their income isn't quite what it was when they were working. And so it can be a very helpful situation. We know people that once they retire, they're struggling income-wise. And we know people that have owned their homes and they may not have a mortgage. Or let's just say they have a mortgage and they're having trouble making those mortgage payments, but they have a ton of equity. How many of us know people that have a ton of equity, but they're having trouble making those mortgage payments? I actually knew a woman that was having trouble doing that, and we put her into a reverse mortgage. She was able to pay her mortgage off with the reverse mortgage and be mortgage free. It was a good situation, just to share her situation. And so basically the way this works is the reverse mortgage comes in, pays your mortgage off, or it can give you a lump sum. You're living in the home as your primary residence, and you don't have to make any payments on it. There's no taxes on it because it is a loan against your home. It's called a reverse mortgage because you're not making payments on it. But when you cease to occupy the home as your primary residence, that mortgage is now due, plus interest, just like any other mortgage. Most times when you cease to occupy the home as your primary residence, it's usually due to death. And when that happens, your beneficiaries now owe that mortgage. The problem that you want to run into is there's a certain amount of time that you've got to get that mortgage paid off. If it's not paid off, they will foreclose on you.
And Vince, I think that's where I saw that a lot happen to people, and I thought, oh man, they had that reverse mortgage, and the next thing I knew, they were losing the house, the family. And so I just looked at it as something negative or something bad, but it was because they really didn't understand the terms, right, or the family did not understand the terms. So I
right. So you want to be knowledgeable of it. Yeah. Now, of course, when you do this, you're required to go through counseling, the person that's getting the mortgage. I would encourage family members to go through the counseling with the person getting the mortgage. You can get a lump sum amount of money. You can get it to where you're getting periodic payments. You can get it in the form of a line of credit, so it can be very helpful. I always encourage you also to have a life insurance policy. So when that person passes away, that life insurance policy can come in and pay off the reverse mortgage. It's definitely something you want to study. We couldn't go into all of the details in this meeting, but it does not have to be a bad thing. And so I'm not necessarily advocating one way or another, but depending upon your individual situation, it can be a good thing, but we need to know about this, and we need to know how it can help our people. We all know people in our neighborhoods that have lost their properties, and we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. We got too many vacant houses in our neighborhoods that have been lost to it. Feel free, I'll leave my cards here if any of you guys want to reach out to us, and we can get deeper into that. But reverse mortgages can be a good thing. It's,
And I actually know some people that are living on those mortgages now, and so that's a good thing. I also know people that needed that money while they were going through health challenges because the health care got expensive, and they needed to draw on some of that equity. And so they did that, and it was a help. But I think, one of the things that I've looked at in neighborhoods, especially in our neighborhoods, is people losing that property after the fact. But that happens a lot of times anyway because the family hasn't really planned on how they're going to dispose of the property or how they're going to keep it. I mean, to keep it, you got to pay taxes. To keep it, you've got to, if it's a mortgage on it, you've got to continue the payment. And so many times the family members don't think of those things. And so they just want to
Get the money and run.
Yeah.
And that's not always wise. Think about some of our neighborhoods here, where the gentrification is going on. I know you know about that, where the values are going up, where people have come in and bought these houses for cheap. What if we had kept those homes, kept those homes up and we were able to, redevelop them? And so it's definitely something we want to continue to discuss. We need to keep our homes, and some of our younger family members figure, hey, grandpa, grandma, they put that reverse mortgage on it. I don't want that house. Right. There's value in our homes, and we need to, instill into our younger people, keep the homes in the family. My dad has instilled that in me to keep the land, keep the home. And so reverse mortgages can be good for them now, but we need to talk about the future. And again, it's a good way to live now, but we've got to talk about the future. And again, there's multiple ways to do the reverse mortgage. Again, you've got the lines of credit, you got the lump sum that you can get, and you can have the periodic way. And you don't have to take all of the money. You want to look at what your options are. And I would say don't just talk to the professional that's doing the loan. Talk with your attorney. Talk with the real estate agent. Talk with, other mortgage professionals such as myself that may not be the person that's doing it. Get with that person. Like, for example, your regular loan officer is involved in your long and short-term equity objectives. That person that you did your loan with knows you, knows what you're trying to do. Don't rush into it. We would love to sit down with you and talk about what your objectives are. Talk with people that know.
So, anybody have questions? Has anybody thought about reverse mortgages or any questions on them? Oh, Marion.
You had said that you had talked about if you can't pay that mortgage, if your family can't pay that mortgage. But when you do a reverse mortgage, if you're taking equity out, how do you owe? If you're taking equity, how do you owe?
How do you owe? So first of all, they determine the amount that you're able to withdraw is based on your age. There's a sliding scale. The older you are, the more you can get. So you have to be at least 62 years of age, and there's like a probability scale. They look at your life term. I know that sounds kind of morbid. And so the older you are, the more they allow you to get,
Do they base it on an appraisal?
It is a loan. It is a reverse mortgage. So it's a mortgage. And so, for example, previous company I worked at, there was a lady, I was going to say young lady, but she was like 92 years of age. And her son was, had advised her to get a reverse mortgage. She was 92 years old, so she could get a whole lot, but she had tons of medical bills. So they were going to give her a lot. And, and basically they were going to give her these funds. And because of her age, the amount that they would give, we called it loan to value. Her loan to value ratio was very high. When you're 62, the amount that you can get is pretty small. And as lifespans begin to grow, the amount that they give you shrinks. And so that changes. And so those are things to be aware. The guidelines change. And so once you cease to occupy the home as your primary residence, so let's just say you decide to move to an assisted living area, you now owe that money back, whether you sell the home or whether you do whatever, but they give you a certain amount of time to pay that money back, however it's done. And so once they know you're not there,
You got to start paying.
you've got to get.
That average window of time.
It depends on who you do it with. One of the families that I know, the lady that owned the home, she passed away, and it was quick. They locked it. Man, I want to say it was like a month. That thing was locked up before the family knew it. They locked those doors, and it was gone. But I think, you know, if my memory serves me correct, the family I knew sued and won, but they had things in the home that they weren't able to get back.
Typically, they'll give you a notice.
I would think they'd give you a notice. Yeah. And I don't know if the family got the notice, you know.
Right. Because family members, you know, the addresses may not be available. There could be multiple reasons that they don't get the notice.
And then I know of family members that have had people that have had the reverse mortgage. They didn't care, you know. Family member passed away. They didn't care what happened to the house, and so they just didn't care.
So the property inside the home is also taken in that reverse mortgage?
It's just like any other foreclosure. You know, like mortgages I do, if people stop paying, you know, just a regular mortgage, when they foreclose, you know, they lock the doors and whatever's in there.
Yeah, now they don't have a lien on your property, but they do on that house, like he said. If they lock the doors and you're outside, you're not getting anything else in there. But if you know that Thursday is going to be the day that the foreclosure is going to happen, then you'll want to have all of your personal belongings.
It's just like any other foreclosure.
Yeah. During the time that we saw a lot of foreclosures, it would be amazing to go in houses and just see people's personal belongings, you know, from pianos to, I mean, clothes, the kids' clothes, everything, but they're locked out. And then we'd see people that would go in and break in. They'd break in they would do that. But then you put yourself in a legal position. So, but that's not just reverse mortgages. That's with any. That's a foreclosure.
And they keep the property
They keep the property.
inside?
Yeah, if they lock you out on a foreclosure because you have not paid, you did not abide by the terms of that mortgage, then they have the legal right to take that house back with whatever is in there.
So when the resident is still alive, who owns the home?
The resident owns the home. As long as you abide by the rules, you own the home. It's just like any other mortgage. You own the home. You have to, you know, keep the taxes up, keep homeowners insurance on it and all that. It's just like any other mortgage. The difference is you're not making payments on the mortgage. That's what makes it a reverse mortgage.
But if something happens and you decide to sell the home, then you could sell it and then pay the reverse mortgage.
Right. And you're still living in the home as your primary residence. Yes, you can pay it off early.
And I would keep that mortgage company aware of whatever I was doing. So, you know, if I'm getting ready to sell the house, I would make sure that they knew that I was getting ready to sell it so that they understand what's going on. And, you know, hopefully there's no mishaps.
Right. And they're charging you interest on it just like any other mortgage. The only difference is you're not making payments on it. So you get the money, they're making money on it. They're not giving you free money.
Plus it's an upfront cost.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Mary.
So, I'm sorry.
No,
Lonnie.
He's had his hand up.
Yeah.
I was saying my hand, but I couldn't.
I saw you pointing the
I
chair.
was trying to just get your understanding. Something happens to me, and I have a reverse mortgage on my home. How long would my children? I mean, my children couldn't get the belongings out of the house. I mean, maybe once I found out, or is it in the terms of the reverse mortgage? Would they be able to get? Because I mean, my children they still have stuff in my house.
Well, the terms would tell you how long you have.
But that would be.
That's up front.
Explained in the terms of
you would
the
know that.
agreement, so they won't just, something happened to me today, they won't show up.
You want to make sure they know. You know, it's just, as Becky was saying, and we've been seeing this, you want to make sure that you have some estate planning in place. And this is all a part of that.
So if you're going to get a reverse mortgage on your property, I would let my kids know, or whoever is going to administer your estate. I'd let them know there's a reverse mortgage in place. I'd make sure they had all the information so that at your death, they're able to, you know, get, right. And like Vince said, now some families don't care. So I know people that get reverse mortgages, they have no intentions of paying that off. You know, the kids wanted to get it for mom because she had health challenges and they needed the money. And they said, we don't care about, you know, getting the money from the house once it sells. So we're going to take this loan, help her through, and that's it.
Well, let me ask you.
Okay.
If he was saying at his death, what if he becomes disabled, have to move out of the house, will never be able to return? Don't that kick in then?
Yes.
They can start taking that house then?
While you're still alive.
So are they calling that mortgage due at that point?
Yeah, if you cease to occupy that home as your primary residence, then that mortgage is
They
due.
call it due, yeah. They call the full balance due, which means you've got to pay it off either from your own assets or from a sale.
Let me ask you this. Now, shouldn't we warn these people about, like older people like Phil and I, that these buyers that come in and catch you off guard and have you to sign your house at certain rights if you ever die or get ready to sell it, way under what its value is, and they're doing it all the time because they did it next door to me. And there's nothing you can do about it, but we need to learn, make our older people alert who have these homes, to let their children know what they're doing.
Yes. Absolutely.
And you're right about that, Hubert, and that was another segment that I wanted to just chat about. So, you know, there are always unsolicited offers out there. I'm sure everybody has gotten one, you know, and we'll pay cash, we'll get you out of the house in 10 days, you can have your money and go. Be very careful about that. I haven't seen, well, I've seen a couple of them that were okay for the homeowner their house was in really bad repair, they couldn't do anything, so they sold it for the cash they could get. But I know what you're talking about, a situation like that, you should never sign anything without, you know, somebody else being aware of what you're signing or talking to your attorney or something. Yeah, you know, Pam. So, people do. That's true. And those, that's right. And those people prey on vulnerable people, you know. If you are sick, then you may not be thinking, you know, and it just sounds good. Hey, I'm going to give $50,000. And yeah, they do it all the time. So the best thing to do is not even engage in the conversation, hang up. I tell people all the time, they'll call me and ask me if they should sell. They said, I don't want to do anything to the house, you know, or I'm not in position to do anything. I've got this offer, cash. And I said, I can put it on the market probably and sell it for more than you're going to be getting from that individual. And that's true today, particularly because over the last 5 or 6 years, there's been such equity increases because property values have increased. And so, you know, these investors are not going to pay you market value for the house. That's nothing against the investor. I'm an investor. I'm not going to pay anywhere close to what that property is worth if I don't have to. So you want to be very careful about those kind of things. And then I know repair people, you know, that say I can fix your roof or I can put new windows in and all of that and have you signing your property over to them. You need to be careful with that. You always need to talk to family members or talk to an attorney or talk to a trusted professional and get some opinion because there are all kinds of scams out here, you know. And now, I mean, it's the scams with the deeds. So, you know, I have had people call me to list a property or email me. They want to list a property, and it's your property address. And they claim to be the owner. Well, in some instances, yeah. And so it's all kind of things, you know. So now we require, before we list anything, my company and only my company, I mean others could, but I'm just speaking for Keller Williams, we would require a driver's license. We do so much over the phone and by email because we work with people all over the world, but we would require some kind of identification, at least for the file. And then, you know, we do our best to search county records to make sure of the ownership, but there are all kind of scams out here. So you just, if you get something like that, you just need to check it out. Hubert Bryant. Any more questions, Hubert?
I thought my wife was speaking today, and I wanted to see my wife.
You are. You realize you're on.
Well, I'm just saying,
Okay.
I still had a good time. I got good information, and you were wonderful.
I'm so glad you came.
You look pretty. What's your name, sir?
Vince.
This is Vince Miller with Regions.
Information. I thank y'all, but I can't sit too long. I gotta go.
All right. Bye, Hubert. Thanks for coming. Okay. Go.
I'm like TV person, so I see this title lock advertisement all the time. Is it really as simple as they make it sound for them to go in and get a loan against your property without a title, or?
That I really can't answer. I don't know that it's that simple, but I could see that it could be done. And especially now with AI, so you have all of the necessary documents that you need to record a deed or, you know, get a mortgage or whatever. Why couldn't you? And just sign somebody else's name.
Not in your wheelhouse, but I don't see how somebody can go and pretend to be me.
They can,
Those
Lon.
documents actually hold up in a court of law. So
Yeah, and right, and whether they hold up or not, I don't know. I really don't. But I do know that title companies are concerned about that. Okay, the title companies that we work with, they are insured against that kind of thing. They take every precaution they can because those things can and do happen.
On the hand that there was a mention about trust, and will you address that part in that?
Yeah, so I just wanted to put that on people's minds too. Sometimes it can be beneficial to place your home in a trust and not just in your individual name. And so a lot of times people think, well, I'm not wealthy or I don't have a large portfolio, so I don't need that. But maybe you do. And so that is something that you really should talk to your attorney about. I have all of my properties in trust. Everything, my car, my house, everything except the kids. And one of the things, so here's what I wanted to say. What a trust is actually a simple legal tool that allows you to decide how your assets, especially your home, are managed during your lifetime and then passed afterward. It provides control, clarity, and peace of mind. And one of the things that I see a lot of too, when people pass away, they may have a will, but that may not be adequate. And typically in the state of Arkansas, you're still going to have to probate, okay? So you could consider a trust which typically will allow you to bypass probate, okay? And that's one of the reasons that you would want to consider that. Another reason, of course, it helps maintain privacy. So Lionel, you know, for the reasons that we're talking about now, I think they become more they are becoming more popular because it's harder for people to steal your identity that way. And then it can help you plan for the unexpected. So if somebody else has to step in and take over for you, it can be a little easier and simpler for the family. Another question is a trust only for high value homes? And the answer to that is no, it is not, as I said. It's not about the value of your house, it's about how you want things handled for your family. So talk to your legal advisor, talk to your financial planner, and decide if that's right for you.
Okay. And we also encourage people to title your home in a trust after closing. We don't necessarily lend the trust, but if you buy the home in your name, have it titled in the trust as an asset protection. So for example, let's say you have a car accident and someone wants to sue you. Well, you don't have to own your home, but the trust can, you know? And so your home is protected from, you know, someone trying to put a lien on it or take your home away from you, you know? So it's an asset protection maneuver.
Revocable trust instead of irrevocable?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'll let your attorney deal
Yeah.
with that, but
I think it's fine either way.
either way.
But that is a legal question, so we're always careful on it. Yeah.
But from an asset protection, you know, way, I think it's always good to just get this stuff out of your name.
So that's something for you to think about, you know? I mean, these are things that you don't think too much about, but it's really good to decide, is that good for me and my family? And it could be that it is. The other thing that I see that tends to cause problems for people is when a homeowner moves into a nursing home, okay? So I've had situations where the mom or the dad owned the house. They had to go to a nursing home. They passed away. And then the heirs or the estate wants to sell the house. Well, all of a sudden, we get to closing and there's a $50,000 lien against the property because the nursing home, the state of Arkansas, has placed that against the property. And it can take a long time to unravel that. Some I haven't been able to help because we couldn't sell them. Some, the family was able to work with the state and get those liens lifted. But those are things that you need to think about too, because Arkansas can put a lien against a property for unpaid debt to nursing homes. And it depends on a lot of things. So that's something for you to look into and to think about.
But a trust, okay,
Yeah, right. Does the trust eliminate that?
So that's again something that you really are going to need to talk with your financial advisor about or a lawyer. It's important for everybody to have some legal information, or legal advisor, I'm saying, because those are questions that you want to ask. I'm just pointing it out because it really can happen. So yeah, you want to talk to a lawyer about it. What happens if I go into a nursing home, you know? And see how they advise you. If you need names, I can certainly provide you with lawyers' names. What? Financial, okay. So, but that's something that you want to think about because that's important, and none of us know when we might have to be placed in a nursing home. So.
Is there a limit on that amount? Was the 50,000 just an example?
That was just an example. Yeah, that was just an example. You know, I tried to, I tried to find a limit, but I didn't. And I was just Googling this. I didn't talk to any attorneys. I was just Googling state of Arkansas information. But no, you know what, Marion? I was just thinking about a lady in North Little Rock that I recently had call me. Her husband passed away, and she did not know that they were putting that lien on her house. And she wanted to do some upgrades. And so when she got ready to get the money to do the upgrades, the lien was there, and she couldn't do it. So, and that was a pretty significant lien. It was on, I guess, probably a $600,000 property, and the lien was over $100,000. So, yeah, it depends on how long you're in the nursing home and, you know, how it's being paid for and all of those things. So, everybody's kind of frowning. I know. I know. It gets to be a lot, but yeah. But it's real life stuff, and it's things that we need to think about and have a plan for, you know?
I have a question.
Yes.
Say it's a married couple, both their names, they didn't do a trust, both of their names are on the title, and one goes to a nursing home. Does that affect the reverse mortgage, or as long as someone's in the house?
I would think if both of them are on the reverse mortgage and one goes in, you'd be fine.
Because one is still occupying.
Right. Yeah, it's probably best to put them both on the reverse mortgage.
So there are more positives to real estate than there are negatives, but I just thought since, you know, we're all seniors and it's not just for seniors, it's for any and everybody. These are things that we need to think about. And these are things that I didn't think about for a long time until I started experiencing these situations, you know. And when I first heard about this nursing home thing, I'm like, oh no, that couldn't be right, you know. And oh my goodness, it was. Yeah, they had the legal right to do all that they were doing. So it's a reminder to you to check it out.
Well, now, if the lien was not the family or anyone notified that there was a debt to be paid before all that's done, or?
So in the cases I've had, the family knew that, but they didn't understand that necessarily, okay? And people don't always understand what liens are. People will tell me all the time, lien or judgment, you know, I don't owe that money. That was something that really didn't have a lot to do with me, but if that lien is against you, you then have the burden to prove that it's not yours. So if there is a lien or a judgment, you're not going to convey property, you're not going to transfer it. So you just do all you can to keep that clean.
Define equity.
So equity is the difference in what your property is worth and what you owe on it, okay? So if you had a property that you didn't have a mortgage on at all, or you didn't owe, it's debt-free. Say that property is worth $200,000 and it would sell for $200,000, then your equity is $200,000. If you owed $50,000 on the property, your equity is $150,000.
Because I keep getting these notices saying your equity is so much.
Yeah, and they're pulling that information because mortgages are public information. So they can pull and they can estimate, okay, you've had this mortgage 7 years, so you had a 6% mortgage, so it ought to be worth this today. And your house is, let's say, worth whatever, okay? So all of those are analytics that these companies are using.
Insurance companies, mortgage companies.
Right.
You're probably getting a ton of stuff in the mail, and, you know, I get sick of getting it.
Right, yeah. But
Throw it in the trash, call me.
yeah, if
Throw it in the trash and call me.
that's right. If you really want to know what your equity is, you talk to some, and they could be right on the nose. I don't know. I've seen that, you know, Zillow and
Realestate.com.
yeah,
Zillow,
all of these
that
people,
stuff.
all these companies, they're getting good. They're getting real good. But the thing is, they've never been in your house, and they're pulling all their information from public records and properties that are similar to yours, but they could have been a dump or they could be completely upgraded and yours is not. So those are not always accurate numbers, but they send you that in hopes that you will call or, you know, apply for that loan, so that they may say, well, you have 100,000 equity. And when you actually apply, it may only be 60,000, but they have an opportunity to make you that loan for 60,000. So, and if you need or want to tap into that equity, then it's nothing wrong with it. I like to use local people so I can say, okay, Vince, I can look at you and I'm not looking at some bot or something else. I want to be able to talk to you. So if I wanted to pull equity from my home, I would do it with somebody I knew. But it's certainly something you can do. And that's one of the real benefits of home ownership, is the ability to use that equity. You just need to be aware. You need to be informed.
And you have options. You're not required to just use Joe Blow.
Right. And I think one of the reasons for today that I wanted to go into some of these things is so you can think through them. And so, you know, if there's ever any pressure, you will have, these things won't sound foreign to you. And you will have been able to make some plan. So all things real estate, that can be anything. I mean, that's a broad topic, and it's very specific. Everybody in this room would have a different need, you know, if I were to sit down and talk with you about whatever. And I tried to just kind of hit on some of the things that I see seniors running into. But it's good to think about it. I know Marion and I'm just going to use you as an example if you'll let me do that. She was preparing to move here, and we met, maybe 2 years before you actually moved? Yeah. So she called and we chatted, and she started making her plan. She came, she visited some properties, and she knew where she wanted to be in the neighborhood with her cousin. And so we looked there, and she got a good idea of what things, you know, were available, what they were like. But she started planning that several years in advance. And so when she came, you know, she knew what she wanted to do. And a lot of times people say, well, I'm never ever moving. Sure not moving with the kids, but then we do. We move with them because the grandkids come, and now we want to move to Philadelphia where they live. But instead of just getting up, going right then, make a plan, you know, because you're going to do best when you plan it.
Okay. Well, let's give Becky and
Good.
So today we got a 2-for-1, exactly. So
I know.
thank you, Vince. So glad you're here.
Yeah,
Thank
nobody
you.
knew Vince was coming. I thought about
Exactly.
these reverse mortgages, and you know, we are always under the gun about not practicing law and going outside of our area of expertise. So I thought mortgage. I texted him. I said, "Hey, can you go with me?" And he's like, "Sure can." So I appreciate that, Vince.
And I know the response has been very well. So next time you have to bring a lawyer with you.
Yeah. Hey, I got a whole team. Okay.
Have everybody here.
Yeah.
Because that's what Wisdom Wednesday is about gaining information.
Right.
And you may not need it today, but you can't say you hadn't been told.
That's it.
That's how it works. Okay, so speaking of having been told, we have Ms. Camille, who comes every Wednesday faithfully to share what happens when I have a new terminology for getting that little card. You're officially grown now. So,
What little card is that?
that little red, that Medicare card.
Oh, I've had mine so long. I
So you
about
get that call and you get that information when you're about 64. And so then I got it. I was like, my goodness, I'm about to be grown. I'm gonna be grown now. And so that's why I say we're officially grown when we get that little card, you know. the certified.
Yeah,
with,
okay.
So at any rate, Camille is going to come up and talk to us about things that we need to be considering when you get that information and how you can make sure that you're properly prepared. So Camille, come on up and
All right, Miss
share
Camille.
your expertise.
Thank you. My name is Camille Watkins of Camille Watkins Insurance. And just like Garbo was saying, when you're Medicare eligible, sometimes it's not always exactly clear what all that little red, white, and blue card can do for you. So anytime that you need help, you need assistance, reach out to someone that you trust. And I know that you guys see the advertisements. Call now. Call this 1-800 number. That's fine to do. But if you'd like someone to sit down with you, go over your options, and talk about the details that are specific to you, reach out. I'm here locally. You can find us anytime at watkinsinsurance.net. One thing to consider this time of year, this is, again, your open enrollment period. You still have time to review your options for 26. I know everyone talks about your annual enrollment period from October 15th to December 7th. But you also have this time from January 1st until March 31st where you can review your options. And also, if you've moved, that's a very good time to review your coverage. If you have change in your health status, that's also a really good time to review your coverage. And turning 65, remember that you don't have to choose a plan right at 65, but you need to know what you're going to do. So at least 3 months in advance, before you turn 65, start reviewing your options. Another thing to always consider, yes, Medicare insurance, health insurance is important, but as Becky mentioned, life insurance. A lot of people don't understand if you're going to retire, the life insurance that you have with your employer may not travel with you into retirement. So it's always good if you're retiring to not only review your health care or your Medicare options, but review your life insurance to make sure that it's going to cover what you need. So that is pretty much everything. Anyone have any questions about Medicare or even life insurance?
Well, Camille, so you do consult on a basis to talk to and set up a client about coming and talking about all of this and everything. We make appointments with you, we call you. You said you had your card and everything?
Yes.
So you consult on these things?
I consult on these things, even if you want someone to review your employer benefits for you and see how those benefits work with Medicare. I'm here to do that. And another thing too is, I'm not bound by one company. I work for you. So whether the right plan is with Aetna, United Healthcare, even HealthSpring, that's the plan that you'll have. And again, you can call me anytime, I'll give my card. But just know that there's a right plan for you. There's not necessarily a one size fits all. So keep
So
on.
I have a question on that. Once you, I did not take, I think it's Part D, the prescription drug. I didn't want to pay them for that. I'm like, I don't want to pay them for this. So I didn't do it. I was using like Good RX for the prescriptions that I needed, and they were cheap. Well, several years later, 2 years later, I needed a certain medication, and I was told that I didn't have commercial prescription drugs. And that was because I wasn't paying through the, I guess, the Medicare system on it. Now, I'm penalized.
Yes.
I'll always have to pay that penalty, or will?
In general, you'll always have to pay that penalty.
Told me, I just didn't know for sure.
There is a Medicare guideline, it's what's called credible coverage. Any plan that you enroll in has to be recognized by Medicare as being as good as what you would have if you were in a Medicare Part D prescription drug plan. If you don't first enroll in the Medicare prescription drug program. You're penalized 1% of the national average for every month that you could have been in the plan and you weren't.
Which is about $70 is what I'm paying. Additional.
And it could be higher. You know, say you go 24 months, just 2 years. I've ran into clients that have gone 12 years. And because their prescription drug costs are so high, they go ahead and pay the penalty. One thing I like to point out, though, is if you have VA benefits, you may not be subject to that Part D penalty. But yes, I mean, it's just the way that it is. And the same thing with Part B, which is the medical portion of Medicare. If you don't take out Part B when it's first available to you, and you choose to enroll in it at a later time, you are charged a penalty for every year you could have been in the plan that you weren't. Yeah.
I'm penalized.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's Part B?
Part D is prescription drug coverage.
B
B is your outpatient care, doctor's visits, dialysis, things like that. Medicare has 4 parts. You have A, which is your hospital care, any kind of inpatient treatment, basically. Hospital care, skilled nursing, all fall under Part A. Then you have B. B is for any outpatient care that's delivered to you by a medical professional. So your specialist visits, primary care visits, and so on. Then you have C, or Medicare Health Advantage. What C does, it allows you to take those A and B benefits, basically outpatient and inpatient benefits, and put it into one plan with a private company. And so D is prescription drug coverage, and those are offered, again, through private companies. So C is kind of like taking your benefits and putting it into one plan.
So in Becky's case, had she signed up then, but then when she needed the other prescription that was at a higher cost, she would have been covered under there and would have eliminated
Right,
that.
right,
So even if you wind up needing additional prescriptions that run your drug costs up, because you signed up back then, you're covered
right.
and won't be penalized.
Right. Just say, for example, the average cost of a Part D prescription drug plan, just for the example, is $20, okay? You may not have any prescriptions, or like you said, they may come out less expensive with GoodRx. You're going to pay that $20 every year or every month, whether you use it or not. But say, in this case, you didn't pick it up when you were supposed to. Now you're paying that $20 plus the penalty. So you're paying $20 like everybody else, then you're paying your $70, $80 penalty on top of it. So even if you're not using prescriptions or need prescription drug coverage, it's a good idea to enroll. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of paying for something they're not using, but you're avoiding that penalty down the line.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can go years and years without needing
Got
it.
one, but I'm glad I did, because as Becky was saying, at that time, it was minimal cost to the prescriptions that I was needing,
Right.
but the cost would be significantly higher now.
Right. Had you waited. Mhm.
Yeah, now that you wait, and now that I've got an additional prescription. So,
Right.
But I thought B was mandatory.
It is not mandatory.
When it was first introduced to the American public, it was presented as being mandatory. Was it not? Or am I wrong?
It's not mandatory. Sometimes I've heard it explained as if you have to enroll in a prescription drug plan.
Yeah.
You do not. Say, for instance, maybe you only take natural medicines, St. John's wort or something like that, and you don't use the pharmacy at all. You can choose not to enroll in Part D. You're not penalized until you do choose to enroll in the plan. So like I said, it's possible to go just a year, 2 years, 12 years, but it's not mandatory that you do it. Yeah, everybody automatically gets Part A if you work your 40 quarters, which is basically 10 years worth of work, or you're married to someone that work their 10 quarters. Again, your Part A is your hospitalization. Then Part B is being charged to you every month. Either you're sending that payment in directly to Medicare, or it's being taken out of your Social Security before you ever see your payment. Most people get their statements late October, early November, and it shows you, you're paying this amount for Part B. Those are all optional. B, C, and D. You don't have to take D, even though they say they do. It's a good idea, though, to take it, because you never know. You never know. Yeah. Well, thank you.
So every time Camille talks, I learn something new. So thank you so much for going through that A, B, C, D thing. That's very important. So again, I want to read something to you. This is in the current AMP, Arkansas Money and Politics. And they don't just put anybody in Arkansas Money and Politics. So our own Becky Finney is in here. So let's give her a hand. And she says, I'll quote her, "Many clients have returned to me 2, 3, and even 4 times over the years. And today they're referring their children and extended family." So.
And you have, and I thank you.
Well, thank you. But I say that to tell you.
You are always referring, and I thank you.
But I say that to tell you that when we put on our Wisdom Wednesday programming, we don't just go get anybody to share information. We go get experts that we have vetted so you can believe what they say, because we're not just going to share information just because they're our friends or whatever. So yes, our information is credible. And so I have some more announcements. We've had this is Black History Month, so it's always good to be Black, but definitely in February, right? So at any rate, here at Pyramid, we celebrate Black History 365, 24/7. But at any rate, you know who we are. But anyway, we've got a lot of activities this month. On Thursday, February 19th at the Ron Robinson Theater, Rashonda Tate will be there with her new book, With Love from Harlem. And Rashonda is from Smackover. So she's definitely coming back, and she always comes back home. And on Saturday, the 21st, we're excited to bring in Miss Nancy Lott, who is going to be doing genealogy for beginners, because we think about other people's history, but your history, your family history is so very important. And we have Miss Tamika Rowley coming. She has an amazing journal that you can share with your family and write in and tell the story of your family. So Saturday at 11 o'clock, we want to see you back here. Just spend Saturday with me. So also, we are bringing in Miss Veranda Montgomery, who is also from Arkansas. She is an award-winning botanist who's written 2 books, and this book, When Trees Testify, just came out in January, and it talks about trees and their history of our culture and in agriculture. So this is a very interesting read that has Arkansas basis. So come and greet and welcome home Veranda Montgomery. And guess what? March is coming up. And so our Wisdom Wednesdays in March. March 4th, we'll have our very own Triopia Bryant, who will be talking about traditional family holiday gatherings and making memories. Would you like to come up and share a little bit about that? I always put you on the spot, so.
Well, I guess I will.
We're doing a
Thank you,
preview
Garbo.
for you to come back and talk about it, so.
I am always excited to talk about family gatherings, and just getting together and having a good time and sharing with family and friends and family of friends. And this is something that we should do more often than what we usually do. So it's all about creating family memories and traditions. And whose calendar is it on? These traditions are on your calendar and on your family calendar. That's
So
the main thing.
we're excited to hear about what you have to say.
You can see I'm excited right now.
Already.
Talking about it.
And on March 18th, we'll have Dr. Felicia Hobbs, who is going to teach us about gardening. You ever thought about you can have a garden? You can have a little box, you can put some tomatoes in it or beautiful flowers, but this is a great way to spend your time is to learn how to garden. And so Dr. Felicia Hobbs is a master gardener and she'll be here with some tips on March 18th. So we're excited to have these coming up. And then we're going on the road. Wisdom Wednesdays, we're going on a field trip. Guess what? Mr. Lionel Davis is here to talk about March 19th because we're going to Oaklawn. So come on up.
All right, well, thank you, Garbo. Thank you. And as Garbo said, we are planning a little road trip. We're going to meet in Hot Springs and go to a fun day at Oaklawn Park for the horse races. We're asking you to, if you'd like to join us down there, to contact Garbo here at the gallery and get signed up. We're making arrangements for grandstand indoor seating so that we'll be nice and comfortable. And if you will make those arrangements by March the 9th, then we're going to try to sit together as a group. After March 9th, we may not be able to seat you with the group, but if you'll get in contact with Garbo at the gallery, we're going to make arrangements to go down and have a fun day at Oaklawn Park, and hopefully we'll be successful financially. March 19th. March the 19th, that's a Thursday, March the 19th. And then, like I said, on the seating, if you'll contact Garbo prior to March the 9th, then we will secure seating for everyone. And hopefully, like I said, we'll be as a group and we can put our heads together and hopefully come home financially successful.
Okay, so I'm gonna get this party started early. So one of our door prizes is going to be that special seat at Oaklawn. And for that special seat, you have to pay $7. But whoever, no, it's not in the Jockey Club, it's in the grandstand, right?
It's just a grandstand seat.
Okay.
But it will be close to the finish line, so we'll be able to watch as the horses run. They'll be finishing right in front of our group. So you want to go ahead and get in contact with Garbo, make arrangements to get that seat.
And if you've ever attended a Wisdom Wednesday, you will be getting a flyer with all the information on it. But one of the fees is actually getting in and finding a seat. So I'm going to make sure that somebody in this room today can save themselves at least $7. So pick out that name for me. One name.
Okay.
One name. Who's that lucky person?
Number 8.
Number 8? Who's that?
Number 8 is Pamela Powell.
Exactly. So Pamela, you'll be getting an email, and when you respond, I will know that I'm responsible for your $7. Okay. So the second door prize is always a gift certificate to Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing to start that young person off in terms of building a library, as our Baobab Book Club will begin in March, and you'll be hearing more about that. So who's going to win that lucky gift certificate? Number 2, who's that person?
Number 2 is
Vince Miller. There you go. Starting a library for that young person in your life, or I'm sure you've already have a library, but we'll talk, get one started. And then the last gift is somebody's going to win a book today. So who is that person? Becky, come on, pick that lucky number.
All right.
And it means you have to come to get it signed. That's the only stipulation. No, just kidding. Who's that number?
Okay, that is number 4.
Who is that?
Number 4 is Triopia.
Woo! There you go. So you won that book. So thank you. So this concludes our Wisdom Wednesday. And thank you again, Becky and Vince, and thank you for all of you in social media world for tuning in. I hope you learned something. And those of you who are here in the room today, and if you want to go back to the sessions we've had, which started in September, we have documented them on our YouTube channel, Pyramid Art Books and Custom Framing. So you can watch, you can spend a whole day just watching our Wisdom Wednesday segments. And I guess you'll find out a lot of good stuff because we've had some great sessions. So thank you so much, and we'll see you, what day is that? March 4th with Triopia Bryant. So thank you.